Good morning. You're watching Much Ado About Something, and I'm Donna. Well, it's a quiet morning this morning out here. I'm sitting out on the front porch, just looking at the gardens and enjoying the quietness. There's not much going on. The neighborhood and the city's just starting to wake up. I can hear the sounds in the distance, and I wanted to get out here and just appreciate the garden. We had more rain yesterday. It rained heavy in the morning and heavy in the evening, so we've had plenty of water. I've not had to get out here and water anything this morning. Normally, if we hadn't have had the rain, this would be the time that I would be getting out in the garden and checking to see what was dry and what needed a boost of water. But I'm just having my tea this morning, and it's raspberry and green tea. I love the raspberry lately. It's a good summer drink for me. And it's not hot this morning, it's on ice. I'm not accessing any work. I'm not planning to work on the garden today at all. I have 5 of my grandchildren coming, and so I'm just gonna, take it easy and reserve most of my energy to care for them today, to love them and spend time with them and nurture them. So I'm not planning anything other than to take care of them today, and the animals. I'll have to feed the animals, the chickens and the rabbits and Ollie, our dog, and I'm going to check the garden today because hopefully I've got produce. After all this rain, there's hopefully some cucumbers and squash and some stuff out there ready to be picked. So that's a little plan I have for today. Other than that, it's just going to be an easy day in the life. It's not going to be a lot going on, and I'm going to try to absorb and appreciate every good thing that I can today, to be joyful, to choose joy, and to be satisfied and thankful for what I have today. I have a friend of mine. I tell you, if you have gardener friends or canning friends, and you let them know something that you want or need, that group of people will really share their plants and share their things with you. I have a friend. It's getting picking season. I've got a few blueberries, and we've got invited to pick blueberries this week, and I hope me and Donald get to go pick blackberries Saturday or Sunday, probably Sunday. And it's berry season. It's the time when you can get those things. We'll forage the blackberries, but the blueberries are at a friend's house. We do have a blueberry bush that's loaded, but it's one little bush, and I like to put up more than that. But I was going around about to say that my friend saved me all of these jars so that I could put my jelly in these jars and some pickles. And I've got to get those and wash those up and clean them and get ready to use those this morning to can what I can. I make a squash relish. I hope to share that recipe with you. It's an old recipe that a friend of mine who's in her 90s, she gave me that recipe, and Lord, our family has enjoyed it for years, and I want to share that with y'all when I think I may have close to a mess of squash that I can go ahead and do that with. But I don't know that I can do that with 5 grandchildren here. We'll have to see how the day goes as to whether I can share that recipe with you or not. But if I don't get to share it today, I will be sharing it in the near future. So look forward to that. And it's a good way to use up that excess squash. You can make it with zucchini, or you can make it with yellow squash, whatever kind of squash that you have. This recipe is forgiving, and you can use it to use up some of that squash, and it's delicious. It's delicious with beans, and as a little side dish or condiment. You can even eat it on hot dogs. It's really good on hot dogs, like a relish. Delicious. So I look forward to sharing that with you in an upcoming video. But for right now, I'm just sitting out here. You can probably hear that train in the distance, listening to the neighborhood morning noises, to the trains and the birds. This morning I'm just out here just looking at the garden, and I've noticed that it's got quite enough rain and moisture that's really helped it out. This time of the year, I still weed, but I don't weed like I do in the at the end of spring and early summer. I don't weed as much in the heat as it starts getting hotter. That's a task that I kind of ease up on, because some of these plants have gotten so big that they're shading out a lot of the weeds. I do have plenty of weeds and could be continuing to weed. I'm not saying that I don't have weeds. I do have some, but it's not near as many. And so I'm not weeding quite as often at this time of the year in this heat, which has not got started this morning, but in general, as the day heats up, I'm not weeding as much. And that's nice to have a little rest in that task. You can see that chrysanthemum is starting to bloom right there. That's a new thing, and it's blooming early. These usually bloom. People like to pinch these off and have them blooming in the fall. But this one, it's decided it wants to go ahead and bust out and bloom, and I'm not going to prevent it from doing that. I'm going to just let it do its thing. This flower was almost the exact same color that our house used to be painted. So when we had a house that was a dark kind of orangey tan with black trim, when our house was painted that color, these plants really accented the house. But it's still beautiful, and I still enjoy it. And for some reason I fall into that orange color scheme. Yesterday when I was shopping to do the last video, the accent plant there in the garden for under for $60, we were able to get that. I was drawn to the orange plants that they had there at the Home Depot. I mean, I was just tempted to load up on those beautiful things and get ready for fall, but I didn't. I resisted, and I stuck to my budget and stuck to, the task on hand, which was to replace this accent this feature plant that we have right here going up, into the house, that goes on this little jutted alcove of stones that Donald formed out here for us. And so I stuck to the task at hand, and I didn't buy those beautiful orange cone flowers that Home Depot had. And they only had like 6 of them out there. So I bet when I go back, there probably won't be any of those. And I was thinking I should have got those and put one here on each side of these rudbeckias, these cherry brandy rudbeckias. I could have put them right here, and it would have been full across here, and it would have looked really nice. But it's not that I need those. I have plenty. I mean, it looks full enough there without those. But I was tempted to get those, but I resisted. I didn't get them. I stuck to the task and the budget on hand, and just stuck to replacing this accent or feature tree here, this little plant. I was able to get a new pot. The older one that was there, it's ready to be put into the ground. It's overgrown. It's been in that pot for several years, and we needed a new one. So this is the one that took its place, and it'll probably stay here for a few years. I opted for the little bit more expensive pot. They had one that was thinner for about $19 or $20 rounded off, but I didn't opt for that one. I opted to get this little bit thicker one. It's fiberglass and cement, and I'm pleased with it. They had some beautiful blue ones that were the same tone as the house, but I didn't get that one. I opted to go ahead and get this white, so it would just complement the accent colors of the house, and I'm pleased with the choice. I think it's looking really good right there. And it got plenty of rain, so I'm not worried about, how it's going to do in that little pot. It's a different type of arborvitae than the two that we have on each side of the porch there. Now, if you saw my Christmas decorating, you know I bought these. They had these on sale around Christmas time, and I bought it, and it was even smaller. It may be about half the size it is now. It's really grown this year, these two little arborvitaes on each side of the porch here. I put those in the pots that were already there that we, used to accent every year. At Christmas time, I put those tiny little arborvitae in there, and they've doubled in size. But the arborvitae that we put here complements the two that's up there beside of the porch. Of course, this one stands out more. It's a feature plant, and the two beside the porch are just accents. They're just little accents when you come up there. But I like to come out in the morning and just kind of look around and appreciate everything, especially after a rain when everything's well soaked and it's not dry and parched. It's had a good night's rain and is hydrated and bloomed out, and I really love to come out and look at the garden early in the morning and just enjoy it. Yesterday, when I was redoing this accent plant, if you watched that video, you saw that beautiful swallowtail butterfly that was enjoying these tiger lilies that spread through the garden. It was a treat to see that. I love to see the nature, and I have plenty of it. Squirrel, rabbit, butterflies, bees. There's just plenty a life enjoying these gardens out here. But you can see the growth of this middle garden is just popped tight with the plants, and I may have to trim that back. We'll see if it slows down, in the heat of the summer. We'll see how much growth slows down and decide whether or not we'll cut some of this stuff back or just let it be thick and full and lush until the end of summer, and then clean it all up at fall. Everything has its seasons, and when you're a gardener, even you're enjoying the season you're in, but you're also planning for the next season. And so here I am enjoying the lushness of this middle garden, but also planning the cleanup. Anticipating what will be done when it's time to get everything cleaned up and cut back and ready for the fall season. Now, in my garden plans, I had a plan not to let that passion flower get away from me, to keep it trimmed back and keep it neatly off of all these other flowers. And as you can see, I have failed in that attempt. It's been raining a lot and life has been really busy, and here I have this passion flower growing in my lacy elderberry that I love so much. And so I'll have to take a whole day and get out here and just cut this passion flower out of this lacy elderberry, because as much as I love the passion flower, it cannot do what it wants to do in my garden. It has to behave. And I'll have to get out here and cut it out of the areas where it's not needed and just enjoy it where I want it to be. And of course, after I harvest the fruit from that passion flower, that passion fruit, when I harvest that and I'm able to make the jam and jelly, I will seriously cut this thing back. And there's plenty of fruit. I'm looking forward to that. And there's just a lot hanging on these vines. You can see it all in there. They're still green. They'll turn a little bit yellow, not a lot, but a little yellow when it's time to harvest them, and they have a really sweet flavor. They're much like a pomegranate in that there's seeds in there, and the fruit is around the little seeds. So it's kind of like working with a pomegranate, but amazing, intense flavor on the passion flower fruit, on the passion fruit. It has a lot of impact, a lot of flavor. I see I still do have beetles. There's one asleep this morning on a passion flower. I do have some beetle gnawing, but not a. I mean, there's still plenty of leaves that's not been attacked. So I do have some liquid 7 dust that I am considering using. It's sitting out on here. It's sitting out here on the porch, and I'm debating whether or not I want to use this, which I probably won't use it. But the beetles are so severe, you know, that if I do choose to use that, I'll just strategically use it on leaves, not the leaves that the rabbit has been eating on or the other animals. I don't want to hurt their food source, but I may have to just like spray a little bit the neem oil, which usually works, but it's not completely wiped out those beetles. It's deterred them, but it's not really got rid of them. I'm still battling them. What I have been trying to do in the beginning is just take a bottle and just collect the beetles in that bottle. Put some, about 2 inches of water in a plastic bottle and just fill it up with beetles and shake it up and throw it away. That worked to get the majority of them off, but that's time consuming, and it seems like a never-ending effort because there's a lot of beetles. But that was the beginning. That's how I got rid of most of them. But in the process of me trying to do that, I've had a lot of munching going on. So I do have some leaves that have some beetle damage. But all in all, it's looking good, and I don't know if I'll end up using that 7 or not. Probably not. But it is being considered. It's an alternative because of so many pests. I don't want to hurt those butterflies or those bees. All the life that I enjoy in the garden, I'm trying to protect it and not hurt it. So but this morning I'm just sitting out here and drinking my tea, enjoying this garden, and having a quiet moment and some time to myself before the day gets started, so I don't feel like I'm hitting the ground running. I feel like I have a little time to prepare. By coming out here and spending a little time sitting peaceably and quietly and just enjoying what's out here. I feel like I, can pray and share and get ready, have a quiet minute before the day starts. All this beautiful lush garden, you just have to really enjoy it while you have it, because it'll be gone before we know it. It'll be fall and the seasons will be changing. Time is going by so fast. And when that happens, we'll be preparing for the next season, for the next season in gardening. And I have to take the time. I do. I have to slow down and enjoy the season that I'm in. and enjoy all the bloom and all the gifts the garden has to give. As you can see, I don't have the tiger lilies all grouped together. They're spread out through the garden. And I love groupings. Like here, this statice, it's a big old clump. I actually divided this statice, there in the winter when Donald dug this garden up, because our water pipe runs right there through the top end of this garden, and he had to repair that. I actually divided the clumps. It's much like rhizomes is what, I have. It's a little hard ball. That's what this statice grows on. And I divided this thing, and it came back even bigger. After I divided it, it is huge. And its blooming period is about over. It's it's a mass in the garden, but I can't say that I mind it. I don't mind it a bit. I love it. I love its habit. This fall, I will be dividing this thing again, however, because, it's as big as a bush. And I don't want it to overtake the garden. I don't want it to be the main thing that you see. So I will be dividing that statice back. But once again, I do love that beautiful, beautiful blue color. That color is beautiful. It looks great with the house, the color of the house. So it's definitely going to stay. It just cannot stay in mass. It's huge. But I do have those tiger lilies spread out through the garden. I have had those in mass. I have had those all planted together, and they make a great statement. But for this cottage style garden that I'm curating and have been curating here for the past few years, I'll be spreading the things out. The tiger lilies, and having, a touch here and a touch there. Now there are some marigolds here. These are some giant marigolds that I started from seed, and I was able to put those down here in the ground. Those should be blooming, near fall. So that'll be a little more added color, and of course those are bright yellow. I've got some ageratum here that blooms blue. I had a lot more of this ageratum, and it's beautiful. And it'll bloom late summer too. And I've cut it back or pulled it back to just having one mound. The ageratum will be prolific, and you'll have more than you need of it if you don't thin that out. So I have thinned that out quite a bit, so that I just have a little bit. And it self-seeds. Once you plant ageratum, it'll self-seed, and you'll have it. And you'll have to make the decision as to where you'll let it grow. So I should have some marigolds, maybe some more zinnias blooming, some ageratum. So there should be some blooms coming in the late summer. And then, of course, there'll be some flowers that will bloom all the way up until the end of summer. So we'll be able to enjoy those blooms. I still do have that tray of coleus that I started myself, that I planted from seed, and I'm going to go ahead and disperse that out in the garden and get those planted to enjoy them for the rest of the season. They're annuals, so they won't be coming back, but I so love the leaf of them. And of course, I've shared that with you before, how pretty I think these leaves are. So I'm not going to let these waste. I will be putting these in the garden so that we can enjoy those some. I'm enjoying the ones that I that I did start from seed and put in the garden, the few that I have here. See, look at that beautiful pink color. Isn't that pretty for a leaf? I mean, that could be a flower in itself, couldn't it? It adds a lot of beauty to the garden. Well, I sure do appreciate you joining me today for my early morning garden musings and my restful period before my day out here in the garden, my quiet time. I appreciate you sharing that with me. And I hope to go ahead and share with you all the rest of the season, the changes in the garden, the things that get done. Thank you for joining me today. And like always, until next time. These are some plants, little trees that Tractor Supply has, and they're $19.99. And so I think that'll be the perfect thing that I need. I think I like this one better. So I'm going to get one of these for that pot outside of the house, and I think it'll be perfect. Now I'll just have to try to fit all this in the car. Well, the car's loaded. I think I got most of the running done, so now I can go home and work a little bit. And it's hot and humid, and it's already about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But I'll see what I can get done today.